Now I'm going to add in 2 moves which will take us up to the halfway point in our sequences. And so the first one is a push-pull, and it quite simply is what it describes itself is. So it's a forward-back movement, so once again we'll sink into that right foot, your left foot's going to come forward. So all of that is going to be exactly the same. But what makes this one quite distinctive is that there is like a push, and then a turning of the hands and a pulling towards yourself. But this particular push-pull, you'll see, has some really important pieces to it. So I'm going to turn sideways so that you can really see what those are. So as my hands come up, we kind of are familiar with this kind of positioning. We're probably a little bit closer than Daughter in the Valley. Just kind of have a sense of connection between these 2 hands. But as you come forward, as your arms straighten, there's a bit of a sinking that happens with the arms, and as you come forward to the end of the straightening, you can see my hands come up just a little bit. So there's a little bit of an almond shape that happens just quite naturally, instead of kind of pushing straight forward. If you follow how your body actually goes, there's a little bit of an ellipse to it. The second thing that's really important about this is watch what happens as I come towards my chest. By the time I get about a third of the way, like 2/3 of the way through the movement, so I'm in the last third close to my chest, you see my hands are already starting to move and turn, so that I'm not coming to a stop and then turning. I'm already turning, and keep that continuity all the way through. And the same thing happens as I go forward. As I get into the last third, my hands are already turning. Right? So there's that really nice continued circularity, and it keeps you from doing this kind of thing, getting into a push, and unless you really get the feel of how this movement brings that awareness of how to stay really over top of yourself, so because it has so much opportunity for you to lean into it. As you come back towards yourself, there's a little bit of ellipse on the top as well. Like if your arms are staying about where they are at the elbow, your hands just naturally go through a little bit of ellipse as you come towards your face. So you're probably, your fingers are a little bit more just by my nose by the time, and then they sink back down again to my shoulders. So let's put that all together and get the feel of how this movement goes all as one piece. So forward and turning, coming back and back. And just letting yourself get the sense of that wrist turning, which is so important for this movement, and the sense of coming from that Dantian that really helps you stay right on top of yourself. Just letting your hands sink a little bit, watching them rise and then sink a little bit. Just like that. That's right. We'll try that a couple more times. And one more. And back. So those are the important pieces, like the turning at the ends and the slight ellipse, like a bit of an almond shape by the time you have an ellipse at the bottom and one at the top, right, that you're going forward. Let's try that on the second side, and I'm going to show you something about this as I sink into the second side and go forward, which is there's one last nuanced piece, which is just as in Carry the Ball to the Side, you have your back hand has a little bit more awareness of it. In going forward in the push-pull, the hand that's coming out over the back foot also has a little bit more awareness in it. You'll find that helps balance the movement. So there's nothing that you're doing, like it's not pushing harder, but you'll find that just putting that extra little awareness in it helps you kind of get the feel of coming evenly out of that back foot with your hands. And that only happens in the forward movement, not here as you come back. We'll do 2 more. And back.